Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the gameplay footage from the Japanese digital event, because there were a couple of things that they showed that were not present in the English version of the event, such as the player house, which we're going to be looking at the start of this video, and a full Rampage Hunt. Now, before we get to all of that, though, I should mention that the Rampage Hunt has been fully translated by Gaijin. So if you want to know what the announcers and stuff are talking about in that Rampage Hunt, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to Gaijin's video. And probably before this video even goes live, I will be advertising that particular video in the community section of my YouTube channel. So hopefully you guys will have seen it by now. But I'm going to be telling you guys a couple of thoughts and opinions about some of the things that I noticed in that Rampage Hunt. But first, let's start by taking a look at the player house, which, by the way, if we take a look at this particular scene right here, it looks like our house is significantly close to the blacksmith, because we have the blacksmith shop right here. As far as I'm aware, this is the blacksmith shop, and here there's the place where you do the buddy armor and stuff like that, which is this pallet over here. At least I think that is what it is from the little bits that I did see of this video, as well as the IGN video that we did an analysis of in the channel in the past. But let's take a look at it. I mean, if we look at the rooftop over here, it definitely seems like it's familiar to the rooftop that you see when you get to the house. As you can see, here's the house. Here's the little window thing up top. There's the Kahoot. And I gotta say, like, at first impression, I really like the house in Kamura Village. Now, you guys already know that I was not a huge fan of the third upgrade of the house that you get in Monster Hunter World. I know that some people dig it. That's cool. I like kind of more modest, a little bit more of a rustic house, a little bit more simplistic. I don't want to live like a king. I kind of feel like it's more immersive to have a bit more of a simple house. And you can see, here's the player house. It's got smoke coming up top. It's got the dragons, which looks really cool. And it definitely feels like a Japanese Sengoku era house. As a matter of fact, once we step inside, you guys will see that one of the things this reminded me of was the house that you get in Neo 2, which in between missions, you can go to your house and you can change some of the scrolls on the walls. You can do the same thing here. But that's what it reminded me of. And a cool detail that Gaijin talked about in the Third Fleet podcast, which was something that at the time, I hadn't really seen this footage yet, so I didn't realize exactly what he meant. But it was the fact that the door of the house is actually open and you can see the village to the outside. It almost gives you the illusion in this footage that you can just, go into the house without getting a loading screen, but I highly doubt that is going to be the case, particularly because the village is also going to be a multiplayer hub, so players can, just freely roam the village. I don't know exactly how that would work in regards to you having your own customized house in the village, so it makes sense that there's probably going to be a loading thing there, but it is cool that you can actually look outside the door and you can see the village on the outside. I think it's a nice touch. I like the amount of natural lighting that you get in the house as well. You have some pots and stuff in here. I'm assuming that all of this is customizable. If we take the example of Monster Hunter World Iceborne, where the entirety of the house is customizable. So I think even the materials and stuff will eventually be able to swap those out for different types of wood and whatnot. I want to get some bamboo shoots in here if we possibly can. We see like a weapon mount in the walls. I'm hoping all of that is customizable. Not that it is particularly relevant, because I didn't really engage with that system that much in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, but I think it would be cool. Here's the scrolls on the wall that you can swap for scrolls of different monsters. You got your little Palico dude that manages your house and stuff. And again, I have to apologize every time that I do this, because downloaded footage on VLC has a tendency to like get corrupted and stuff. You'll be able to play with your buddies on this little mat that you got here, which is pretty cool. I'm assuming you'll be able to do the same thing with the Palamute. I hope that you can put both of the buddies in there as well, not just one, because it would kind of suck as you usually hunt with two of your buddies. But see how they almost gave you the illusion that, like, oh, you can go inside and outside your house without actual loading screens. I don't know if that's what they're saying, but it definitely seems like that is what they're trying to allude. But I do like the overall look of the house, which is pretty cool. And I just figured I'd show it to you guys before we jump into the gameplay of the Rampage Hunt here that they did. They did a full Rampage Hunt, and we're going to be going over the whole thing. let me just get us right to the very beginning because there's a couple of things that I want to call to your attention right at the start. So right from the get-go, if you take into consideration that Ryozu is here, Ichinose is here, these two dudes are basically going to be two hunters, so it's going to be scaled for 2 players, this particular Rampage. At least that is what I am assuming. I don't think there's anyone backstage playing the game. I think there's only really 2 hunters on there. They're dimming the lights, which means it's about to begin. And here you go. First screen shows you the amount of waves that you're going to have on a particular Rampage Hunt. So as you can see right here, we have 3 waves. This particular wave seems like it's going to include a major threat in the form of, at least I would assume this is a major threat, in the form of a Great Izuchi. There's also a regular Great Izuchi, a Tetranodon, and an Aknosom. And like I told you guys already in my Rampage videos, you can see by the icons what each of these creatures are going to be doing. So the major threat, Great Izuchi, is going to be attacking hunters. This Great Izuchi is attacking hunters. This Tetranodon is going to be attacking your defenses. You can see this by the color of the icons next to them. And this Aknosom is going to be attacking your hunter installations. So like your bazookas, your cannons, your ballistas, and all of the other mounts that you happen to put there. They're gonna the Aknosom is gonna go for those specific things to try and diminish your defensive capabilities. Now, if you take a look at your UI here, you can already see things are getting pretty busy. That was one of the biggest complaints that I've seen from people so far. And like I said, guys, you can turn literally everything that is in this UI right now, you can turn that off. Like this little blue thing, you can turn it off. As a matter of fact, I did that in the demo because I wasn't really using it, so I turned that off. You can probably turn off the stronghold level, although I probably wouldn't advise that. You can turn off the side objectives. You can turn off the party gauges. You can turn off the sharpness if you want to, although I probably wouldn't advise that either. But there's a bunch of stuff you can turn off that will not be cluttering your screen. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if they have the monster things. We'll have to see, because you can also turn those off. You can turn this text off if you want to. I'm sure you can even turn like these timers off and stuff, even though these are somewhat important, so do keep that in mind. You can also turn the wire bugs off, although I would not advise that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can turn off. Now, one of the first things that I noticed when we went into this arena I actually did a stream of this earlier, and I was asking people, like, do you think we can change our gear in here? And there is a camp symbol, so I'm assuming that if you go back, there's like a door that's semi-open back there. I'm assuming that will take you to a room where you'll be able to select different equipment, so you'll be able to change equipment before you actually jump into the rampage itself, although you're pretty much on the clock when the quest starts, because you can see this timer 120 seconds, and this is the amount of prep time that you have. And naturally, you have to use that prep time by placing down the hunting installations that we've been talking about. You need to place down your cannons, your defender cannons, all that stuff. There's a box in here with some of the items like you always have for pretty much every single hunt, and you know, they're just getting their stuff ready and jumping into the fray here. You can see that there's already a couple of things placed. I'm not sure if these are placed by default or if they were placed by the other player, because do remember there's 2 hunters in this particular hunt. But these are the bomb placements, and these basically explode, and after a while they'll recharge and they'll bring other explosives back up. I don't know if there's a limited number of explosives that will, you know, show up, or if it's just like infinite explosives. Either way, this one definitely seemed like one of the fun traps. You can see the yellow arrows, which are marking the places that the monsters are going to be coming down from, and you can already see that the other hunter has been placing down a couple of defenses. Like right here, you have a defender ballista. The reason it's a defender one is because it's already manned by a villager, so these will automatically attack monsters that are in range, so you don't have to do it yourself. So if you're someone that doesn't want to mess around too much with artillery stuff, you don't have to. You can just put down the defender ones, and you'll be able to, you know, just focus on dishing damage out to the monsters instead of having to worry too much about, oh, I got to do artillery stuff. Even though artillery stuff is going to be one of the most efficient ways of dispatching monsters until they ring the counter sign. I forget what the name of it is, but it's this special gong that increases your damage. You can see that he placed down a regular ballista, so you actually have to man that one in order to get damage. And he's going to be experimenting with the system. From what I can tell, the yellow thing, I'm not sure what it says here, but the yellow thing is going to be for manual defenses. So you place down a manual ballista, you stay there, you attack. The red one, I think, is the defender type weapons. These are weapons that will automatically engage the enemy. I think, I'm not 100% sure. It's just from the footage that I have seen, it looks like when he picks the red one, those come with villagers already pre-equipped that will shoot the stuff for you. And the blue ones are special things. Like this is where he comes to get the NPCs from Kamura, because that is what the NPCs are. You place them down like an installation and they just pop up from the ground and they start doing their thing. As a matter of fact, we're going to be seeing that further ahead in this footage. So as you can see, that brought another ballista, and that one had a villager. I'm not exactly sure what this weapon is. I don't think they showed it yet, because this almost looks like a Dragonator, right? But it's got this red thing here for oil. I'm assuming it's going to be some kind of a flame weapon. Or maybe it moves forward and then it shoots out a flame. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is. Looks like they placed another bomb there. You got a couple of wire bugs around so that you can actually have the third wire bug if you want to. And as you can see, we have now 40 seconds left before the first wave shows up. Do remember that this is going to be a 3-wave engagement. We already know what is in the first wave, and then after they push back the first wave, then they're going to show you what's in the next one. And yes, they are not actually killing the monsters, they are repelling them, which is a very important distinction. It looks like they were able to bring down the Acnosom very early on. Now, an important thing is that these ballistae have different types of ammunition. Now, I don't know how to read Japanese, so I'm not going to try to figure out exactly what type of ammunition is in here. If you watch Gaijin's video, he explains all of this stuff. But suffice it to say that with this particular ballista, you're going to see this hunter shoot out a special type of ammunition that actually staggers monsters quite often. Now, notice the size of these great Azuchis. They're actually significantly larger than the ones you encounter in the game, but these are still regular Azuchis, so there is actually not a major threat in this wave. So I thought there was, but there isn't one. The reasoning is the major threat actually has a different icon on it, and we will see one of the major threats later in this video. So as you can see right there, he's firing some type of ammunition that is getting the Tetranodon to stagger itself, and at the same time, he's getting shot by the other monsters who are trying to prevent him from using the ballistae effectively there. Now, this particular prompt here from the side means, A, we leveled up the stronghold, and therefore we unlocked the new thing. Now, I think that this right here is a regular cannon placement, so you can now place down cannons, because up until this point, you'll notice that they only place down ballista, but right now you can actually place down cannons. I'm not sure how it works in terms of how many emplacements you actually get to place down, because it just seems like they keep placing stuff down. But I'm sure there's going to be some kind of a limit or something, because otherwise it would be a little bit too powerful. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But do notice that the stronghold leveled up, and at the rate that you level up, I'm pretty sure that my assumption in a previous video was correct, that this is on a per hunt basis and not as something that levels outside of the hunt. So you're going to have to level up your stronghold every time you do the rampage in order to get access to the beefier defenses. Looks like they're replacing the defenses here. They're going to put down another ballista there. Another important thing is notice that these ballista, they have infinite ammunition. This was something that Gaijin already confirmed in his video. So you don't really have to reload them. They kind of just reload themselves after a certain amount of time. So that is something to keep in mind with these weapon placements. And the thing about it is, in a way, I get it. Because, you know, they really want to push the action thing of the game. But I just keep getting reminded of Lost Planet 2 and how meaningful it was to, like, fire the big cannon in that one mission where you're in this sand ship or whatever, and you have this really big cannon, and it requires at least 2 players to operate it properly, because one of the players needs to bring the shells, the other player needs to aim and fire the cannon. And, you know, the shells are pretty far away, so it actually requires a significant amount of team effort. So I get that they don't want people to have to deal with the more boring aspects of the hunt, but those boring aspects are also one of the things that contributes a lot to someone else's immersion. So I can see the good and the bad of basically having infinite ammunition in these weapons. And, you know, I haven't really made up my mind on where I stand in terms of do I like it or not. I'm going to have to play it. I'm going to have to get a feel for it. but I definitely don't get a vibe that's just like, oh, this is great. Ammunition's infinite. But you guys let me know how you feel about that in the comment section down below. It's the same thing for cannons, by the way. Cannons also have infinite ammo, so you can just, like, you know, put cannons down and blast away like a madman. They do have the reload timer, though, so keep that in mind. You can see the layout of the stronghold right here. So you can see like the walls and placements that you have, as well as the big wall that you get with the monsters over there. I don't think we actually saw them utilize one of the special things of that wall yet. It looks like there's only one monster left. They still have 2 minutes left on the clock. So if this timer runs out on the top left-hand side, you're successful basically. If they didn't break through the stronghold, you're just successful, and the monsters run away because they did manage to break through. Which is it's one of those things that this definitely feels like a mode that is very arcade and a lot less hunting than usual. And look, here we go, another wave. Aknosom, and this time we do have a major threat. You can see the icon that changed. He's not an apex, but he is a major threat. Look at how big he is, right? Look at how big this Great Izuchi is. If you fought the Great Izuchi in the demo, you know that they're not supposed to be this big. And one of the things that people were saying during my live stream is like, this is going to be great for hunting gold crowns. And I don't think you're going to get gold crowns from this, because you're not actually killing the monster. You're not capturing the monster. You're just repelling it. So I don't think that gold crowns apply when you're doing this mode. So do keep that in mind. It was interesting that the wave actually had 2 waves, though, within one wave, because they didn't really get a break in the middle. I wonder if it says that there's 2 monsters there. Let me just see. We're currently in 4510. Looking at this screen, I just don't know if it means that due to the fact that it's the same color on this one and this one, that it's a copy, that it's basically 2 waves that are the same one, or if there's something I'm missing in regards to the waves, because we clearly see them repelling all of the monsters in that wave, and they didn't announce a second wave, just new monsters showed up before the clock was over, so that was kind of weird. So we were on 4510 right there. But now there's definitely a bigger Great Izuchi there, which is the major threat of this particular thing. And once again, notice Stronghold leveled up to level 3. Boom, you gain all of these new things. This is the Fender Cannon, so you can now bring cannons that are automatically operated by villagers. I don't know what this is, and this I know that Gaijin said is something that you can place down that attracts monsters. So you can, kind of like set up a trap for a monster using that particular hunting installation. I think they're going to show a new move for the switch axe, one that we haven't really seen yet. Because I do remember seeing this particular part of the video. I'm very curious as to why they didn't use they probably didn't want it to use the fire weapon that's to their left, because there's a fire weapon to their left. Yep, here we go. They're dropping shinies, so these are probably going to be the materials that you're going to be getting from this particular hunt. You're not really going to be getting other things. Okay, so here we go. This is one of the traps that you can use that I don't think you're the one placing it down. I think this is just going to be available always, and you just use it when it's the right time. So you see that the Tetranodon is coming up on the gate, and he's got this thing here. Ground Dragonators, dude! Bam! 750 damage right there. 3 Ground Dragonators coming up from the ground. Oh, wow, it still hit that one that was like coming up against it. So long as they're spinning, they're hitting. That's pretty cool. Oh, that just took out most of the monsters in there. Is there any? Oh, they're back. But these look different. Like it's just a bunch of Great Izuchis. I wonder if it just shows you the monsters that can come in the wave, but it's not specifically all of the monsters that can come in the wave. It definitely feels like that. It's like, here's the monsters that can show up during this wave. and they'll keep coming until the clock ticks all the way down to 0. Okay, that seems to make more sense. So this appears to be some kind of an upgrade to the ballista, I would imagine, as well as the defender version of it. We're now level 4 on the stronghold. So now they're going to get, here's wave number 2. So this wave is going to consist of a Great Ragi, Urzuros, Great Azuchi, Kezu, and the Kezu is going to be going for the fortifications, and an Aknosom that's going to be going for your hunting installations. So I think that what this means is that any monster from here can just show up and keep showing up for the duration of the 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And you get 2 minutes once again. Gaijin did say that there is a mechanic where you can like speed this up. You can skip this waiting time if you're already ready for the next wave. But I don't think they do that in the footage here. But you can do it if you want to. Not really a whole lot happening. They're just waiting out the timer. I'm sure that they're explaining something very relevant in Japanese that I can't understand. Once again, to remember, you should watch Gaijin video of this as well. There's the defender cannon. Once again, notice that every time they go to the red, it's a defender weapons, and then every time they're in the yellow, it's the manual weapons that you have to shoot yourself. I'm very curious about the cost, because like I'm sure that there's going to be a budget, and each of these weapons costs a certain thing to keep running. There's also other areas that you can go to set up. We're going to be seeing those areas later down the line when they reach the apex monster. There's another bomb emplacement so that if they do get through that gate, you can detonate the bomb, get additional damage. Once again, do remember those bombs will respawn after a certain amount of time. They have like a reload thing. So it looks like the monster is going to be showing up. There's the Aknosom. Blasting everything with the cannon. The 2 Great Azuchis, I would assume, right? Oh no, it's 2 Urzuros, actually. Yeah, see how there's no Great Azuchi in this wave? There's just 2 Urzuros, so they just pick randomly from the stuff that is available to them, it seems like. There's also the possibility of a Ragi showing up right now. They're going to be focusing down the... I noticed that it's firing different projectile types. But they're going to be focusing down the Kezu here, because obviously the Kezu is the one that's going to be trying to break through the gates and whatnot. So he's going to be one of the key, one of the most important things to bring down fast to prevent them from progressing. One of the things that I find a little bit weird is the fact that you can set up turrets outside of the prep stage. It's very dynamic. I almost would wish that you couldn't do that. So like, there's something special that we just gained. I'm not sure what that is, but I almost wish that you couldn't do that during the fight. I think it would be more interesting and more tactical to, you know, only be able to do that during the prep phase, and then in between each of the waves, you'd be able to adjust stuff. But you would have to be prepared instead of, oh, I can just put down a cannon because I need one. Again, it's one of those things that feels very arcadey about this mode. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm saying that I have to play it to actually get a feel for it to understand what's going on. We have a bunch of more unlocks here. We're currently Stronghold level 5. And I don't think it's just unlocks. I think the weapons actually get stronger too. And probably you get more budget for weapons as you advance. Oh, looks like there is a limit that they're showing. I hadn't noticed that yet. Like, look when he's placing it down. Wait, did I just... I must have went too far back. No, I didn't. It's good. Like, he's going to be going there now, and I'm going to be going frame by frame when he starts swapping it. Okay. Yeah, see, you can have 2 out of 4 of these cannons, which I'm assuming is based off of the Stronghold level. You can have 2 of these assisted cannons. You can only have 1 of Hino and Minoto. And you can have 2 of these things that are traps, and I'm assuming this is to summon Fugen, because it definitely looks like Fugen's face. And it seems like Fugen comes alone when he shows up. There's Ino and Minoto. You can only use this once per fight. And they're going to be doing their synchronized attack. Minoto popping up the lance and just like throwing that whirlwind thing. You can see another Kezu coming up. Tons and tons of enemies in the map right now. I mean, tons. There's 4 of them in the map, but they just keep coming more and more and more. And it can even be more than that. Like, see how it showed up in red saying, hey, you already used Hino and Minoto, so no more for you. But it also seems like I would love it if they would move there, because I'm curious if you can use multiple NPCs throughout one of the things, or if you can only use one. So clearly you can only use Hino and Minoto once, but I'm curious if after you use Hino and Minoto you can still use Fugen. Which it looks like you might be able to. But that's a lot of villagers, depending on how powerful they are. I mean, if you think that you basically have the whole village at your disposal after a couple of quests. I mean, not a couple, but after a lot of questing, you're going to have the entirety of the village at your disposal. That means that, you know, they're going to need a lot. They're going to need something that is really challenging to face off against the entirety of the village. Boom! Detonate the bomb. I'm not sure what. Oh, this is probably the counterattack thing, the gong that increases your melee damage, I would imagine. Right now, there's the Ragi coming, and there's still another Zuros in the map. You can see it in the monster icons up here. The Ragi is the great threat, or the major threat, whatever you call it. You can see by his icon, he's got borders around it. And as you can see, it's significantly bigger than a regular Ragi. Like, look at the size of that thing. Friggin' massive. There's the special attack that I told you guys that I thought was a little bit earlier. Like, look. This is an attack that we haven't really seen yet. It almost seems like it can potentially replace the zero-sum discharge move. And instead you get that AoE thing that he did right there. So that's what I think that's going to be for the Switch X. Looks like we leveled up the Stronghold yet again. We now have the Gatling gun placement that we can put down. But he just put down another... I was hoping to put down the Gatling gun. I know that at some point they do put down the Gatling gun, so we get to watch that. That is pretty badass. I just feel like there's not that much investment in terms of the things that they're putting down, because they just keep swapping them willy-nilly like it's not even a big deal. And I almost wish that was more of a decision-making process that you would have to come up with. Like, oh, I want to put down this thing, and that's kind of like a decision, as opposed to, nope, I'm just going to swap this thing for a cannon now, and I'm going to swap it for a Gatling gun, I'm going to swap it for something else. That feels maybe a little bit too arcadey. They're going to be mounting the Aknosom. Blasting a little bit of fire. Dude, this is going to be me, basically. I'm going to try to mount every single monster that shows up. I'm going to be the Wyvern Rider. That's the way that I look at my role in these Rampage quests. Like, I'm not sure if I care about all the fancy cannons and stuff. I just want to ride monsters. Boom, go. Looks like they win. They once again reach 0 on the timer. They're able to survive. So it seems, again, like I was saying, it seems like monsters just keep coming until the timer runs out. Although in this case, I think monsters keep coming until the apex comes out. And then you have 13 minutes, because this is the last wave of this particular thing. Once again, you get 2 minutes in between waves so that you can set up your stuff. And here they're probably explaining something about the cannons and the emplacements. Again, unfortunately, I don't speak Japanese. Is he going to place something interesting down? Oh, there's the Gatling gun. Come on, place down that Gatling. There you go. Look at that. This is the one that we had on rails during Iceborne. Looks like they triggered it a little bit earlier. As you can see, they already began the event. And this is when Gaijin said specifically that Ryozu was going like, yeah, show them the Apex, let's go. Because initially they weren't supposed to show that. And there's a counter gong. You gonna use it? Yep. Bong. This basically triggers the significant damage buff to every hunter. So you're gonna be dealing additional damage right now. So this is the time to go in there and just really beast mode through the monsters. This is when you do not want to be on your weapon emplacement. I wish I had seen how much damage you... Oh my god, 400 damage? That's more damage than the bomb for that finishing attack, dude. What the hell? Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot of damage. Should have saved that for the Apex, most likely. There it is, the move again. That move looks really cool, by the way. I like it. I'm not sure if there's a hunting heart in GU that looks like that. But yeah, you guys know in GU I only played Gun, Lance, and Sword and Shield, so... Yeah. There's another Gatling. Screw that Tetranodon. Look at him go. My chunky boy! He's full of holes! See, now that's a proper artillery weapon right there. Although, it's not really a splitting wyvern shot. Unfortunately, they don't show the splitting wyvern shot. Which is potentially my favorite thing in this whole... one of my favorite things in the whole Rampage mode. But the Gatling gun's pretty cool, too. Looks like he got repelled. So they're basically just waiting. Do we... Okay, so for this wave, they don't regenerate. Yeah, for this wave, they don't regenerate. It's just like you kill the first set of monsters and boom, the Apex comes. And look at that Urzuros, dude. He's just like, don't care. Tell it to the hand. It is a righteous beast of worth. Boom. I love how he just like keeps jumping. He's a little leapy boy. Not sure what the 90 seconds is for, but basically that was 3,000 damage. Just bursted through the friggin' gates. He's just going straight for the objective. He's like, I'm gonna go to Kamura village and I'm gonna annihilate and eat everyone. You guys will regret ever messing with your Urzuros kind. But see, the idea here is that you would have a couple of defenses set up before you get to this point, which they didn't really have because I don't think they were expecting to make it this far. This looks like some kind of a flamethrower. Unfortunately, we don't really get a good look at it. It reminds me of you could do this with the Wrath of Meow in GU. If you were playing Prowler, you had like a little tank that had a flamethrower look like that. Urzuros not taking any of the hunter's crap, just like, oh, you thought you were going to get a defense up? No, I'm just going to break that wall. Not even a problem. It looks like the ground emplacements will still work, so you can still get some stuff going. But you definitely want to save the villagers for this bad boy right here. At least that's what it looks like. As well as your most powerful emplacements and any cooldowns that you could potentially have. But yeah, I think that this is pretty much all they show of the Apex because they don't show the whole hunt, obviously. I'm not exactly sure what that timer is. But, yeah, that's a full Rampage Hunt. I am very curious. I can't say that I'm, like, full steam ahead, like, I'm totally sold on the concept, but I will say I'm optimistic about it. When I get my hands on it, we'll see how fun it is. We'll see if it feels good or not. But I can definitely feel that there's significant departure from the hunting, and there's significant departure of the simulation aspects of Monster Hunter. And what I mean by that, when I'm talking simulation aspects, some people are like, it's not like Monster Hunter is a simulation. No, but it does have simulation elements to kind of maintain a certain level of immersion. Like you got to eat for your stamina. You got to sharpen your weapon because, you know, it gets blunt. Those little things are things that I still value when it comes to Monster Hunter, which is one of the reasons why I took a step back when they were like, oh yeah, we're getting rid of cold drinks and hot drinks. And it's like, And in here, we're getting rid of reloading weapons. And I kind of get it. It's faster paced action and it's intended for it to be, you know, smaller in terms of time and in scope when it comes to the amount of time that you spend on each session. because it is ultimately in a console that is a portable console. So it's important for you not to have to be there for like 2 hours, like a raid or something. But at the same time, there are some concessions that are being made. But it looks like the gameplay is solid, so we'll see how it pans out. And let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section. Thank you all very much for watching. Do remember, if you haven't yet, you should watch the Gaijin Hunter version of this video because he's got like the full translations and a lot more information than I do. But I still hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you did not, hit the dislike button. Feedback is important. If you guys usually enjoy my content, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.